Kona Block Part 1.
How's it been?
Yeah, Kona Block Part 1 has been quite hard, to be honest. So I had my little 1 week of mid-season break, and I had a week of kind of getting back into it. It's quite a normal week, nothing too hard, but a little bit of sort of tempo running. Nothing too hard on the bike either. And then the first block has basically been 3 weeks of mainly VO, well I say mainly, the hard stuff has been VO2. Really sharpen up a bit before then putting in all the miles and then trying to focus a bit more on that kind of Ironman pace. So my weeks have been quite similar, which I actually quite like. I quite like having like the same kind of sessions that you can do week on week and see kind of how you progress. So that has mainly been, Monday's quite an easy day. So just a kind of normal kind of 4-ish K swim, bit of gym. That's all I've been doing on a Monday. Tuesday is then being a bit of a savage day. Hard threshold swim in the morning. I've tended to be doing, depends a bit on timing, but I have been doing the run around lunchtime, and that's not a horrendous run. It's more of kind of, it's like thresholdy, but it's been quite short reps. So the first week I did 12 by 1 minute on, 1 minute off. Second week was 4 by 3 minutes with 3 minutes off, and then 4 by 1 minute with 1 minute off. So like nothing too horrible. And then next week is 24 minutes of doing 40 seconds on, 1 minute 20, kind of steady. So that I'm trying to do around sort of 320 to 330 minutes per kilometre pace. So kind of, that's kind of my sort of top end of speed work, but trying to make it so I can sustain it, as opposed to like going out super hard and then dying. So that's my like Tuesday run. And then my Tuesday bike session has been really awful. Basically VO2 hills, doing 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 5 minute recovery, 4 by 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, going really hard. And then doing the 4 minute, 3 minute, 2 minute, 1 minute again. And those intervals are with half the amount of rest. It's like 2 minutes rest, 1 minute and a half. But I found those sessions really hard, because I think even though you've got the hill that you're going up, so you kind of have to go quite hard to go hard and get up them, it's something about maintaining that like really top end heart rate that obviously, I guess I don't do these kind of sessions that much. I guess most of the training that I do around Ironman and 70.3 is kind of way more tempo-y efforts, or sometimes like thresholdy efforts, but it's really not that often that I'd be trying to do like as hard as I can go. So that's my Tuesday. Tough day, lots of chocolate needed that day. So it depends on if I'm having a good day or a bad day. So like week 1 I did it and I had quite a good day. 290 watts on the 4 minute, 300 to 310 watts on all the shorter ones. The second week my power was pretty rubbish. I actually gave up halfway through because we'd had 2 late nights watching the Olympic triathlon. So I kind of did one set, I was like maybe I'll warm up into it. Like, I couldn't get my heart rate up, I just was not having a good day, so I sacked that off halfway through, and we'll see about the third week. Hopefully be back to those kind of powers. That for me is one of the benefits about doing it on a hill, because I think you don't necessarily need to, because we're looking more at the kind of the heart rate and then like keeping your heart rate really high. It doesn't actually matter that much about the power, I think, like as long as you're getting that heart rate effect. Obviously I'd like to be doing higher power because it looks better, but so that's Tuesdays. Wednesday's a bit of a longer day, like kind of longer swim, so about 5-ish K swim, long bike of sort of 3 to 3.5 hours, then just a kind of steady sort of 40-45 minute run. Thursday's back to being a bit of a harder day, so threshold swim in the morning, fair like easy run, so just like an hour run with some drills in, and I've been doing chain gang in the evening most Thursdays the last few weeks. So chain gang ends up being about an hour and a half. It depends on kind of how I'm feeling as to what effort I do. So like I think 1 week I did it, I just sat on the back, so it was kind of hard-ish but not horrendous. I probably averaged around 210 watts for the like hour and a half, so I guess like pretty decent but not ridiculous. And then depending on where the headwind or tailwind is as to how much of a benefit you get from being sat behind people. Then one week I did it and there's only like 6 of us there, so we were all coming through taking turns, and that was quite hard. I think probably like when I was doing the turns I was around 280 to 300 watts, so like quite hard on the front, but then obviously recovering when you come back, so I think that normalised out at about 240-ish watts. And then actually this week again, because I was still tired from kind of keep blaming watching the Olympics, I didn't do it, I just went for an easy spin instead. So that's Thursday, another hardish day. Friday's then quite an easy day, so like easy swim, usually at the lake, or sometimes I do it in the endless pool to do a bit of technique work, home gym. Sometimes I have an easy run or an easy bike, but it depends a little bit on kind of how the rest of the week's been. Saturday then, these 3 weeks I've been doing this 4x4 minute of VO2 hill running intervals, which is absolutely savage. Again, I feel like 4 minutes feels like a really long time to hold that effort. And I think particularly on the running, because you can feel your breathing way more. So actually it's like, yeah, I've been doing it on the hill just by the house. That's been hard, but again, I find hills really satisfying from a workout perspective of, it feels like a really hard session. You're not really looking at pace, so it's definitely much more on just like the effort and how that's going. So that's been my Saturday run, and then I've done like a long bike in the afternoon, or like longish. And then Sunday has been long bike, long run, and a bit of a sort of half an hour in the endless pool. The long bike ranges from sort of 3 to 4 hours, depending on who I'm with and how far they want to go. And the run's been like an hour and a half, around 18-ish K, depending on where I go and how hilly it is. Generally around here it's quite hilly, so actually sometimes it'll be a bit less than that, because it'll be a bit slower. Because yeah, those long runs at the moment, they're just steady endurance, no intervals or anything. So I've been averaging about 26 hours a week, 7 hours of swimming, 12 and a half hours of biking, 4:45 to 5 hours of running. So I'm also taking the opportunity to do some altitude tent. I've not tried altitude tent before, but I've obviously tried altitude at Boulder, so I kind of figured that seemed to work generally quite well for me, so why not see if I can get similar benefits from the tent. I think obviously with the tent, because you're just sleeping in it, you need a bit longer for any kind of adaptation, so I think people generally suggest about 6 weeks. So we'll see how that goes. It's quite a long time to be sleeping in the tent. Although actually I've been sleeping really well in it, so that's not been an issue. I'm also looking at doing some specific heat chamber work. So actually someone at Leeds is doing some research, which ties in quite nicely. They're actually looking at doing sort of active and passive heat acclimation. So some of it will be doing sort of like a 20k time trial in the heat, and then doing workouts in the heat. And then some of the other sessions will be actually doing like a very easy workout in the heat and then going to sit in the hot bath for like 40 minutes. Yeah, I think the previous couple of years that I've done proper heat chamber stuff before Kona has worked really well for me. I thought, well, it's on my doorstep and I've got the opportunity to do it, might as well kind of throw everything at it. I'm playing around with my nutrition a bit more. I'm basically trying to see how concentrated I can make my Morton so that I don't have to carry as many bottles or pick any up. So yeah, so I put double concentrate in for Holcomb and one of my bottles, but not all of them. So I'm trying to play around with my long rides now of kind of, yeah, can I even go a bit over double concentrate? Can I have double concentrate in all my bottles, and is that too much? I find it quite hard to play around with in training, because I do find it quite cyclical. basically having race nutrition when you're just training, because you're obviously not going at the same intensity. But yeah, if I can get to a point of not having to carry as many bottles or not having to pick one up special needs. I've got a 100-mile time trial coming up in a couple of weeks, which will be the kind of end of this VO2 block. So I'm going to have a bit of an easier week leading into that. I'm pretty sure, Will described it as a savage few weeks. So I think it'll probably be just quite a lot of volume, probably more kind of tempo intervals as opposed to anything too hard. But yeah, I think if Will's describing it as savage, then it probably is quite bad.